Hello, and welcome to a quick afternoon podcast episode. I just wanted to take a quick break and just walk in the garden. I'm watching 12 Monkeys at the moment, and I'm getting so many codes and predictive programming messages and things like that. And I'm taking snapshots and sharing them on my IG story. So it's taken me quite a lot of time to get through the film. It's a really good film, actually. It's really entertaining, and yeah, there are lots of pre-programming codes in that particular film. But so I just wanted to take a quick break. I was getting a bit tired sitting down, and I didn't actually go to the garden this morning. Quite it was quite cold and it was gloomy, and I just felt really tired, and I just wanted to just lay in bed and just chill. And I actually was watching 12 Monkeys in my bed first thing in the morning. I woke up early. I can't remember what time I woke up. I think it was around 7 o'clock, I think. Yeah, I think it was around that time. And I was like, oh, it's bank holiday, so the sky is unbelievably blue. I mean, the color is just amazing, and absolutely no clouds. It's a bit windy today. It's a bit chilly, but not that chilly because the sun is out. So in the sun, it's okay. So I haven't come out to the garden today. So I thought, oh, let me just spend about 20 minutes walking in the garden and record a little short podcast, get some afternoon sun on my face and my body, make that vitamin D. So, and then I thought I'd go back inside, do some work, and finish the film. I'm nearly finished, actually. I think I've only got about 10 minutes left. And then I'm going to watch a documentary on YouTube. Everyone's talking about it. I think it's called Out of the Shadows. And I think it's an investigation how the media in Hollywood uses their vessels for propaganda purposes. So I'm going to watch it, check it out, see what it's about, watch it with a critical mind as such. So questioning even what the documentary is saying. Right now I'm just like really not suspicious, but just really questioning everything and questioning the agenda behind everything as well. Okay, so I thought I would discuss a particular topic in this podcast just to give it a little bit of focus. And it just came to me. I was like watching one of Richard Grannon's YouTube video, and he got a question. Someone asked him a question like, "What do you do when you like live with people that like say hurtful things to you, and you're like, we're all stuck in quarantine and lockdown, so we can't really get away from them. How do we handle that?" And I thought that was a really good question. So I thought, oh, let me see what Dale Carnegie says about that from the book How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. So I thought, oh, that would be a good topic of discussion for a podcast. So I'm going to address that question, like, how do you handle, because it's easy to block people online or social media or any of your like text messaging sort of platforms. You can block people on WhatsApp, or you could just deactivate it completely, remove it. You can deactivate your Facebook, but then what do you do with people that you can't necessarily block in real life, especially with the lockdown situation, and you're kind of stuck living with them, or or colleagues that you have to work with, stuff like that. So how do you deal with negative people who say negative things to you? Like I remember this one Black Mirror episode where they could literally block people in real life. I thought that was really interesting. So what happens is the person you just don't hear them, and you don't even see them. They're just like a blurry shadow. They're just a pixelated image, so you don't see them, you don't hear what they're saying, you just hear mumbling. So you can actually block people in real life. I mean, Black Mirror is an amazing series, very dark look on technology and the darker side of technology and how it can affect humans. I was going to say transhumanism. That's like a new term that I've come across. I'll probably talk about that in another podcast. Okay, so the topic for today. I think this will be a really fun sort of format, like just make up potential questions that people might have and then kind of like use it as a topic, as a reference to discuss. Okay, so the question is, how do you deal with negative people in real life that you can't block? How do you deal with when such negative people say hurtful things to you and it really like hurts you, and then you just ruminate over it and you just can't stop overthinking it, and you're thinking, why did they say that? Why was it necessary to say such a hurtful thing? It's like, do you not have a filter? Why do you feel the need to say it? It's like, just don't say it. Just don't be, don't be a negative person. But anyways, let's see what Dale Carnegie has to say about that. Okay, I'm back. Sorry if there's like a lot of noise because of the wind, and hope it doesn't make too much noise. Today I decided not to do any grounding work because I did quite a lot past 2 days, like a couple of hours, and then yesterday night. So I did the grounding in like the morning, but then yesterday night while I was watching 12 Monkeys, the sole of my feet were burning, like really, really hot, and I was like, oh my god, usually my feet, I just have cold feet, and then I was talking to a friend on Instagram, and I just mentioned it to her that, oh yeah, I did grounding in the morning. I was like walking barefoot on the grass, and then later on in the conversation I said, oh, my feet the sole of my feet are burning. They just feel really, really hot. And she said, you might have taken up too much energy from planet Gaia. And she was like, don't worry, it will equilibrium, it will, you'll get used to it and overnight and stuff. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I like washed my feet again, like with cold water, and I actually used rock salt as well, and that kind of helped. And now it's fine. So today it's fine. My feet are fine. So I was just like, okay, too much energy from planet Gaia, absorbing too much grounding energy. So that was interesting. So today I'm just wearing my sandals, and then hopefully tomorrow I'll get back to grounding again, which is good. My back keeps falling over in the garden. 1 second. Okay, enough of me rambling. You guys don't need to hear about my things. Okay, so one of the responses you can do when someone says something hurtful to you is just not respond. Just be silent. Silence is majority of the time the best response, because if you respond, then it just escalates, and the negative person just then feeds on it, and then they'll say something further, and then you'll just feel even worse. So if you can, don't respond, and if you can, just walk away. And if it's still bothering you, which it probably will, because when someone says something hurtful to you, that's like an energy attack. You know how people say, oh, you're just too sensitive, but no, they're like invalidating your feelings. It's okay. It's perfectly normal and valid to feel hurt. And then you're like ruminating over it. So if it helps, you can write what Brené Brown says, she says a rude word beginning with S, first draft. So I'll just substitute it, and I'll say crappy first draft. So that means you just write, whatever comes into your mind. It could be, like really angry. I'm like, oh, I can't believe that person said that. They're such a blah, blah, blah. And you can swear at them. You can just get it all out. And so that's like your first draft, to just let it all out. And then sometimes that can help, because your feelings, when they get hurt, they just want to be heard, they just want to be validated, and they don't want to be bypassed, they don't want to be what's that word, when suppressed. They don't want to be suppressed, because if they're suppressed, then they'll come out in another way. And you don't have to quickly jump into, oh, I'm going to transmute this negative feeling I'm having into something positive. You don't even have to do that either, because then that just puts a lot of pressure on you as well. And sometimes it's okay to just acknowledge and say, you know what, I feel really crappy that that person said that to me, and just acknowledge that, and you can just sit with that. And then after a while you can think, okay, what can I do to transmute it? So let's see what Dale Carnegie, if he has any interesting chapters about this subject. Okay, so I found this chapter. I have mentioned this chapter before in a previous podcast, but it's really worth talking about it again. So this chapter is do this and criticism can't hurt you. So usually when we get a negative comment directed at us, it's most of the time a criticism about something about you personally. And so then Dale Carnegie talks about how to deal with criticism so that it can't hurt you. And he says, I realize now that people are not thinking about you and me or caring what is said about us. They are thinking about themselves before breakfast, after breakfast, and right on until 10 minutes past midnight. They would be 1,000 times more concerned about a slight headache of their own than they would about the news of your death or mine. Even if you and I are lied about, ridiculed, double-crossed, knifed in the back, and sold down the river by 1 out of every 6 of our most intimate friends, let's not indulge in the self-pity. Instead, let's remind ourselves that that's precisely what happened to Jesus. One of his 12 most intimate friends turned traitor for a bribe that in our modern money would be about $19. So, 1 out of 6. This is what happened to Jesus. Why should you and I expect a better score? I discovered years ago that although I couldn't keep people from criticizing me unjustly, I could do something infinitely more important. I could determine whether I would let the unjust condemnation disturb me. Let's be clear about this. I'm not advocating ignoring all criticism. I'm talking about ignoring unjust criticism. I once asked Eleanor Roosevelt how she handled unjust criticism, and God knows she had a lot of it. She said, so she asked her sister for advice. So she asked her aunt for advice. So, and she said, Auntie Bye, I want to do so and so, but I'm afraid of being criticized. And then Teddy Roosevelt's sister looked her in the eye and said, never be bothered by what people say, as long as you know in your heart you are right. And she then said that the only way to avoid criticism is to be like a Dresden china figure and stay on a shelf. Do what you feel in your heart to be right, for you'll be criticized anyway. You'll be damned if you do, and damned if you don't. And then, so Dale Carnegie's final remarks are, do the very best you can, and then put up your old umbrella and keep the rain of criticism from running down the back of your neck. Okay, so that is the end of that little very short podcast. So basically, I think people are we can't control what people say to us. People will say hurtful things to us. That's just how human nature is. People sometimes don't have a filter, or they could get hijacked by a negative entity to cause you pain deliberately. So what can you do? You can't control other people's behavior or what they're going to say or do. But what you can control is how you respond. You might not even be able to control your thoughts afterwards, and that's okay as well. But what you can control is what you say and respond. So most of the time, the best response is silence and just walking away from the situation and making sure that you are safe, and then just talking about it with yourself, either writing it down or doing like an audio journal or something like that, and not really worrying so much about, oh, I gotta transmute it now, this negative feeling. I think it's okay for us to feel hurt and to acknowledge that, and you can imagine taking out that feeling out of you and imagining it in your hand or something, like a little character. Like give that feeling a like a figure, like personify it, like that film Inside Out, when it's about these these emotions that have like little characters. So you can just like talk to the character and say, what are you feeling? And usually the first response is, I'm feeling hurt. Okay. And then, continue, why are you feeling hurt? This person said this and it really offended me, and it attacked, the very core of my being, or, something like that. And then just keep asking yourself questions like, why do you feel like this? And then just have a dialogue with the feeling. Say, how would you have liked it to have gone in a perfect utopia sort of a world or situation. And then when you're ready, it'll just naturally just drift away, and then you'll get distracted by something else, and that's okay. So I hope that was helpful. I'm not sure if it was or not, if I'm just like talking randomly, but I thought I'd just make a quick podcast. And so if I have any other like these type of questions that I just like pop into my head, I might make further little mini talks about it. Okay, wishing you lots and lots of love and light. Thank you for listening. Bye for now.